Hey there, young besties. Jeff from Hobbii here, and you're listening to Skein and Tell, the podcast that unravels it all. The cozy, the chaotic, and the occasional controversial things in the world of fiber arts. In today's episode, it's tool talk, baby. The must-have gear that make your crochet or knitting life so much better. The weird hacks also that actually slap, and the tools that are, well, let's be honest, okay? A little overhyped. So if you've impulse bought a sheep-shaped row counter at 2 a.m. only to never touch it again, well, same. We're calling it all out with love. So grab your favorite hook, the stitch marker. You definitely didn't just fish out of the couch. And let's talk gear. Okay. Let's talk tools that are must-haves. Tools that live on your dining table. So let's start with the classics. These are things that I actually use every single day. Ergonomic crochet hooks. I mean, my hands are not 22 anymore. I don't know about you, but if a hook doesn't feel like butter in my grip, if it's not soft, if it's not smooth, if it's, not effortless, I do not want it. The fancy ones with the squishy handles or the fun shapes are cute, but function first, always. I'm at that age where wrist pain is real and crocheting should feel like a massage, not a workout. So if you're crocheting still with a plain metal hook and wondering why your thumb hurts, well, welcome. This is your intervention. All right, next up we have stitch markers, the locking kind, okay? Specifically the ones that look like tiny plastic safety pins. I have them in every color. I also have them in every finish. I have them in every material, metal and plastic, and I even have them with cutesy little croissant and cat versions and an astronaut version as well, and love them. Somehow, I never have enough. They get lost. Where do they go? Are they partying with my missing tapestry needles and, half-used lip balms? I mean, probably. I've accepted that these are single-use only items at this point, so always buy yourself some stitch markers. It's a really, really good future investment, emotional investment. Of course, you also need to get yourself a yarn winder and a swift, especially for people who work with hanks. If you buy your yarn in hanks, and if you don't have a swift and a winder combo, what are you doing? I love you, bestie, but what are you doing? I'm so scared for you. I'm so worried for you. Why are you trying to unwind a hank using a office chair, 3 pairs of knees, and a full workout cardio? No, you're about to have a mild emotional breakdown. Stop it. Get yourself a yarn winder. Get yourself a swift. The swift are like the folding umbrellas one, and the yarn winder looks like a little tiny lawnmower. And they work together. So beautiful. They're like 2 very separate objects, but they blend beautifully together. Like yarn and hook. Like yarn and needles. Yeah. You get, perfect little yarn cakes. And also your patience remains intact. And your sanity. Scissors. Okay. Scissors. I own more pair of scissors than is legally necessary. Yes. This one that I actually have on my table now, it has a guitar shape. Why? I don't know. It just does. That was not the purpose that, just because it's a guitar shape, that's not why I bought it. I bought because I just need a lot of them. I mean, there's one in every project bag. There's one in my Notion pouch. There's one in my kitchen junk drawer. There's one in my bathroom junk drawer. There is one upstairs in the hallway, but hopefully away from my baby. I don't buy the fancy ones anymore per se, but I kind of do. I don't specifically look for buying fancy ones because, like I said, they do disappear like folklore, creatures. But I do almost like to have many different ones because it's kind of like having a little collection, And like I said, it's a very useful collection because we do use it. Next up, of course, darning needles. Because weaving in ends is annoying but unavoidable. kind of like folding fitted sheet, which is so annoying, or taking out the trash. Now, if you don't have a lot of them, you should start getting more tapestry needles or darning needles, because they just get lost. They get lost, and it's a must-have, right? So if you're getting new ones, get the bent tip ones, bestie, because those are life-changing. They glide through stitches like a dream, and they save your finger from doing awkward yarn gymnastics. So I keep mine very, very close to me. Not that safe, considering I have a small toddler. I think I just had one in my hand 5 seconds ago. Yeah, they always get lost, okay? They get lost inside skeins of yarn, inside project bags, inside projects themselves, and the reasons are always unknown. All right, next up, you need tape measures. So you will always need it, okay? You also never find it. I own, 20 of them, I think, maybe more. One lives in the couch cushions now. One lives under the couch. One lives in my purse. One lives tangled with my headphones. One lives in the bathroom junk drawer. One lives in the kitchen junk drawer. One lives in the coffee table. They're everywhere, okay? They are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I just had 3 of them in front of me and now they're gone. Seriously, get a retractable one. I love those so much. And if it has a cute little shape or a cute little color, even better, because that's kind of cute. I have like my absolute favorite one. I have this just a round, plain, simple one, very minimalistic, and this beautiful light purple. I think we launched it a year ago or something like that. It is so cute, and I actually have the original version of that one that launched maybe 6 years ago or something like that. It was very similar to the one we have now, the purple one, but it was pink, and I still have it, and it's so cute. And I'm so emotionally attached to that one. All right, I kept the best for last, and this is a tip for my knitters out there. If you're a knitter and you have not tried a needle set with swivel cables, bestie, I am about to blow your mind. I'm about to change your life. You know that moment when you're mid-project and your cables twist? I don't know, like it's auditioning for Cirque du Soleil or something like that. Well, swivel cables, honey, they end that madness. They rotate at the joint so your cable doesn't coil, it doesn't kink, or try to fight you in public. You know, it's kind of like the yoga of knitting. The yoga of knitting tools. It's flexible, it's centered, and it's here to reduce your rage. Now, there's full sets, and that's really, really nice. The full sets, I feel, are a really, really great investment. And yes, they're kind of a tool that makes you feel like a wizard, like a fiber wizard. Cute pouch with all your sizes and your cables. They're kind of like I am the main character kind of needle sets. There's stellar ones on Hobbii's website. There's also the Betula one that I like a lot. But you can find a lot of different kinds and different brands that make them. My absolute favorite ones from Hobbii are definitely the Betula, because I think that deep down inside, I think I'm a birch girly. I am either a birch girly or a bamboo girly, because I really, really like it when needles feel like really squishy almost, like when they have that buttery feel. I just, yes. So yeah, some of the sets even come with accessories. They come with obviously cable stoppers and tingly tangly gadgets, and yeah, they're just super cute. Honestly, if you are a knitter, do get yourself knit needle sets with swivel cables. You need them to survive, and they make you feel like you're leveling up your knitting. So this one, 1,000% yes. We interrupt this episode for a special segment, that explores the history of yarn. It is the archaeology of yarn, brought to you by our special correspondent, Yondiana Jones. Okay, so today we're gonna figure out where the humble crochet hook actually came from. And spoiler alert, it's still a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in yarn, dipped in folklore, and probably hidden inside a button tin somewhere. We actually don't know when crochet started. Crochet as we know it, one hook, one loop at a time, has almost no archaeological evidence before the 19th century. And that's wild, because a tool that's so essential to so many of us is just, poofed into existence. There's tons of references to needlework in ancient cultures, like null binding in Scandinavia or tambour embroidery in China and India, knotting and netting across the Middle East and North Africa, but actually provable, loop through loop crochet, that doesn't show up in historical record until 1820 in Europe. Early crochet hooks weren't, the sleek aluminum or aluminium ones that we know and we love. They were basically hand-carved wood or ivory, which is bone. Actually, also even bone. They were also made of shell, of brass, and sometimes even silver, if you were fancy. If you were fancy, they were made out of silver. Well, some looked a little bit like hairpins or tambour needles, and some were double-ended. So some were more like a bent piece of wire that says, I'm a hook. There you go. It has a hook, so you can deal with it. And if you were living in, 1830 in France, odds are that your crochet hook was about 5 inches long, carved by hand, and stored in a very cute, ornate little box next to maybe your lace edge handkerchief, in your little Victorian beautiful mansion. So let's review the 3 main crochet conspiracy theories, okay? So we have the Arabian theory, which suggests that crochet originated in Middle East, traveling to Europe via the trade routes. But again, no solid archaeological evidence of actual crochet hooks to back it up. Then there's also the Chinese theory, which points to tambour embroidery, which looks a little bit like crochet, but it's done on fabric and with a fine hook through a stretch drum. This technique traveled into Europe, and many have evolved into basically free hand crochet. And then there's also the theory she just made it up. Some historians actually believe that crochet emerged pretty much organically in multiple places as people experimented with new ways to manipulate, thread. Basically, it was just fiber chaos, and everybody agreed to just try it out. But by the 20th century, companies like Boy and Susan Bates in the US made standardized sizes and turned the crochet hook into this mass market icon. And now we are basically just spoiled little brats, aren't we? Because we've got ergonomic hooks, we have glow-in-the-dark hooks, we have, hooks with mermaid tails, we have hooks that are so fancy that they deserve their own, little beautiful velvet pillow in a nice mahogany chest. But the truth, bestie, while the crochet hook's true origin might always remain a mystery. And don't we love mysteries, right? But that's maybe the part that makes it a little magical. So one simple tool, infinite possibilities, and a history as tangled as your whip. Because I know it's tangled somewhere. You must have a whip that's tangled. So whether it came from ancient scrolls or somebody was really bored, and then suddenly, they sat over a needle and it got bent. And well, it changed the world one loop at a time. So raise your hook, bestie. You are part of a fiber lineage that spans continents and centuries and tons of vibes. And that's pretty epic. This has been Yondiana Jones reminding you that the real treasure, well, it's in the stash we found along the way. And also that I still cannot do a posh British accent. And that's fine, because I can keep digging like the true yarncologist, yarncologist that I am. All right, let's talk MacGyver energy bestie, because in this part of our little episode, we are going to look into the chaotic good tools and hacks that somehow, well, they just work. And if you're ever out and about and you don't have access to your proper tool set, well, here is what I found works wonders. First of all, bobby pins. Bobby pins as stitch markers. Also paper clips and safety pins and earrings, and in emergencies, your engagement ring. Finally, a reason for appreciating my tiny little diamond ring. But really, bobby pins, well, they're everywhere. They're cheap. They're perfect for marking stitches. They hold two pieces together. And you can also pin them in your bangs while you question your life choices. Why did you cut them at midnight yesterday? And now you've cut them too short. Your hair was wet and you didn't. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to go into that. But the truth is that just like stitch markers, bobby pins do disappear. But I think you will always be able to find one in a bag. And yeah, next up, I have a really, really fun one, okay? And I know it's going to be a really, really, really weird one. Silicone baby teethers for tension relief. Now, after I knit or crochet for a while, it's just I get a little pain, okay? Yeah. I'm not young anymore. So the funny part is that I accidentally had my son's little silicone teether with me. It's this little giraffe, and I kind of squeezed it, and I was like, that feels really nice when I release it. So yeah, laughs aside, but pop one in your bag. Thank me later. These little silicone rings are designed basically for comfort and, for grip and anxiety chewing. But they're definitely excellent for hand stretches between projects, or, just a fidget when you frog the same row 1,000 times and you're very close to flipping a table. But, they're cute, and there's no shame in the theater game. Teether game. All right. I also have hair ties as skein tamers. Wow. Sorry for the sound effects. I just had to. Okay, so wrap a hair elastic around your working yarn cake to keep it from unraveling into a noodle nightmare. You can also use them to secure hooks to projects or keep your stitch marker container from popping open in your bag like a party popper of chaos. Next up and last one, I have a good one. Old eyeglass cases. I mean, these are the travel notion pouches of magic. Hard shell, yes. Cute lining and nice and soft, yes. Snapshot, boom. Throw in stitch markers. Throw in a tiny pair of scissors. Get some tapestry needles in there, and boom. It is going to be your one-on-the-go survival kit. And, it's nice. It's nice, it's compact, and it works. So it's not always about buying the fanciest things. Sometimes it's just about looking at your junk drawer and thinking, Okay, controversial moment here. But not every tool that gets 50k likes on TikTok is actually helpful, okay? Let's just open that up. So, needle gauges shaped like cute little alpacas. Yes, they are cute. Yes, they really are. Are they accurate? Sometimes, yeah, sure. At least here at Hobbii, we definitely make sure that they are. But are they really necessary? I think that a simple one that works is good enough. Yes, maybe it's not as cute, but it should work. So if you don't have a fancy smancy little cute, I don't know, flower shaped needle gauge, hook gauge, it's fine. You will survive, and I feel you. All right, next up we have the luxurious artisan hooks made from rare enchanted wood. Yes, I have found Etsy shops that sell that, and I really questioned the world we live in. Don't get me wrong, you guys know how much I love witchy stories and mythical creatures and myths and mythology and all of that, but hooks made from rare enchanted wood. I mean, listen, I love myself some pretty tools. I really do. I do. But if your $60 or I don't know, $70, $80 hook, one hook, doesn't glide like butter, well, it's just a pretty little object then, okay? It has to glide like butter. So these luxurious artisan hooks made from rare enchanted wood, I'm not gonna go there. That's enough. I've said enough. All right, next up I have digital. Sorry about that. See? Maybe like I'm being watched now by all the fairies that are like, well, we have a very, very hard time enchanting all of these trees, and here you are making fun of us. Digital row counters, though. I have one, and I've never used it. Ta-da! My phone battery dies all the time on my phone, okay? So I end up never opening that digital row counter. That app that I paid for, I am not using. And I've heard people actually use their Apple Watch for that or their smartwatch for it. And I think that that's pretty cool because then you have it like on hand. But yeah, I have not used a digital row counter despite having one. Next up, we have yarn bowls that tip over. That is so annoying. So when you're shopping for a yarn bowl, make sure it doesn't tip over. Because if you're working with something like a heavy yarn, say for instance our friend's ribbon, or any yarn that has a lot of weight to it, then I do not trust almost any yarn bowls because, well, they will tip. And that's gonna make a mess. Unless we make like a yarn bowl out of, I don't know, diamond, cement. And that's a business idea for you there. Speaking of luxurious. Or we can mix it, cement and diamond. What about a sock blocker? The mysterious foot shape contraption of the knitting world. If you've ever looked at one and thought, wow, is this really a necessity or is just cute foot cosplay for my socks, Bestie, we will unpack that because sock blocker, is it useful? Short answer, yes, it is actually quite useful. But that depends also on your sock goal. So let's unpack it a little bit. Like for instance, sock blockers, what they actually, okay, so first of all, what they do, they actually block your socks, obviously, and they do a really, really good job at it. So after washing, blocking your socks on a blocker or on a whatever, it's so important because then they will dry in this beautiful shape, right? And if you're using a sock blocker, then it's gonna really, really, really dry in this ideal shape, right? So think, smooth stitches and crisp heel turns and no weird toe curl-ups. And basically, your sock goes from fresh off the needles to Pinterest-ready masterpieces. It also really, really helps with tension and stitch definition, especially if you're doing a lot of color work or lace socks, which can get a little lumpy sometimes. So blocking socks that have color work or lace using a sock blocker, chef's kiss, baby. Oh, and also I feel like just overall it gives you a great professional look, a professional finish. And if you're gifting them or maybe photographing them for your Insta or selling your socks, well, those kind of blockers, yes, they do make a big, big difference in presentation. It's kind of like just steaming your outfits for a date. And yes, I just said that out loud because yes, I like to steam my shirts. It adds that little bazooz, that little zhuzh, that little yes, feeling myself. So I feel like I'm very conflicted about this one. How useful is a sock blocker? Is it just kind of like, is it just hype? Or is it worth buying it? Can't I just block it myself with some pins? And yeah, you could do that. So I'm conflicted about this one, okay? Do you need one? I think that if you are a sock knitter, then yes. I think yes, totally worth it. If you don't knit socks on a regular basis, then you're fine. You're good to go. If you're new to sock knitting or knitting socks once a year, you can get by without one. All right, let's look into tools that actually save you money and your sanity. So not everything has to be expensive to be essential. Let's talk tools that are totally worth it. Let's check this out. Blocking mats and pins. Especially if you're diving into garments, into shawls most especially, or anything lacy. This is not extra, it's not something like, maybe I should do, maybe I should block it. No, this is essential. If you're making a shawl, you have to block it. Now, blocking, it's basically the spa day your project actually deserves. Your project went through so much. Your project has been listening to you for such a long time. It's been listening to your crying. It's been listening to your laughter, your trauma. It deserves a spa day. It basically opens up your stitches. It evens out your tension. It gives you that piece of, it gives you that crispiness. And it gives you that I know what I'm doing kind of finish. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or you are a lifelong yarn wizard, your cardigan, your shawl should not look like it just rolled out of bed. I know that I'm a little bit, and I woke up today on this side of the bed, okay? I woke up on the block your projects. Maybe tomorrow when I wake up, I'm like, I never block my projects. Because yes, that is also the case. But today I am block your projects, girl. So, plus bonus tip, foam plays from Kids Room, thank you, Albert, are just as fine as, a nice blocking mat sets. But if you can afford it, get yourself a blocking mat, especially if it has markings so that you can eventually in the future maybe buy an extra set and then have an even larger space. All right, next up that is a must is yarn bobbins and bobbin winders. So color work. I can say this word because I'm not doing a British accent. Color work queens and corner to corner connoisseurs. This one is for you. So yarn bobbins are the absolute antidote to the multicolored spaghetti disaster that we've basically created when we started a color work or corner to corner project. So wind each color in its own little tidy little bobbin side, and you'll want to finish your grafkin. Plus, using bobbins makes us feel like we're kind of like operating a tiny yarn factory. And it's fun. I like it. Now, digital kitchen scale. This is a tool that is a must. And everybody kind of has one, okay? I know it is not the sexiest tool on the crafting table. I know. But it's probably the most loyal one. And you don't have to have a kitchen scale. It can also be a coffee scale. Yes, I am that person. I own an espresso machine and I use it many times a day because I am obsessed with my coffee. And I actually have this coffee scale, I guess. It weights to like 0.000 milligrams, pounds, whatever measurements. And I think that it's a really, really great idea to have one around so that you know that when you have maybe a leftover skein, or when you're maybe doing granny squares, for instance, right? You're doing maybe granny squares and then you have a little leftover in your skein, and you can just weight it and then figure out, okay, I have these many grams. This skein says that, and for the sake of easy math, I have 100 grams of yarn for 100 meters of yarn, right? If I know that I only have 7 grams left out of 100 grams, that I know I only have 7 meters left of yarn, right? And this is, like I said, for the sake of easy math. So I think it's great. I think it's great that it helps you know what to do with leftover yarn. If you know, yarn chicken is a real thing. And when you want to pretend you're conducting important fiber experiments, in a lab, boom, scale. When you want to get that measurement to the gram, if you're a nerdy one, like my best friend, she is very, very nerdy, and she will swear with a digital kitchen scale. So also pair it with a notebook. Pair it with a notebook, or if you're a digital babe, pair it with an app, and you will never play yarn chicken again. Okay, and this is a tool that I think is very useful. Speaking of what I just mentioned now with a notepad or so, but hook needle inventory sheet. Now listen, we've all blacked out, bought a 5.5 millimeter hook. Because I think that 4.5 and 3.5 millimeter needles are the ones that just kind of like evaporate somewhere around my house. I can never find one. They're always inside a project, and whenever I want to start a project, I always kind of uses those needles, so I can never find one that is available. And it's so annoying because then I don't know which of my actual project has that one, and I have to remember, okay, this is what did I use for this one? Is this so no shame in that, okay? It's just fact. Whether you go digitally and you have a nice little spreadsheet, or you just scribble on a sticky note inside your, I don't know, maybe you have a Notions pouch or a folder with patterns in there, and you just stick it there. And having a list of what you're using for which project, oh my God, it's actually super low effort, and it is extremely high rewarding. It's a high reward move, okay? If you got it under control, if you know your inventory, that is really a game changer. So if you're fancy, of course, laminate your list. If you're me, leave it on your fridge with a magnet. It's a must, it's a must, and it's a really, really easy must. Those are a few little, I feel, tools that actually save you money and save your sanity. So once again, remember, blocking mats, blocking pins, yes. Then we have yarn bobbins, yes. Bobbin winders, sure. And hook and needle inventory sheet. Yes, and yes. So that's our tool talk, bestie. From the must-haves to the meh, to the hacks that involve binder clips and bobby pins. There's no right way to kit out your fiber life. So I hope that you found at least one or two little tips or tricks that could maybe enhance it, okay? Remember, you don't need the fanciest gear to make magic. You need your hook, your needles, and that spark of chaos, that spark of creativity that makes every stitch yours. So if you've got a weird tool you swear by, or Notion pouch confession that you want to get off your chest, or you just want to show us your cool kit with cool little tools, well then either send it to my email, jaya@hobbii.com, tag me with hashtag Skein and Tell or hashtag Hobbii podcast, because me and probably all of us besties, we would love to see your setup. And I want all tea on the tools you also regret buying the most. So, yeah, until next time, keep your scissors sharp, your hooks comfy, and your stitch markers, well, where are your stitch markers? Where are our stitch markers? We know we don't. Where are you guys? Where are you? Okay. Love you, bestie. Bye.